Hi, welcome to Center-ECD Enterprise TV. My name is Ihedinma Kawekwune and you're welcome to Food Tech Talks. Today on the show, we are still talking about special foods. Special foods are foods that are created or crafted for a specific set of individuals to improve their body systems. So today we'll be talking about food for hypertensives. When we're talking about hypertensives, we're talking about people that their blood pressure is on the high side. So before we talk about a particular food, as we usually do, we want to understand what that condition is so that we will know what we are targeting. So on today, we want to understand what exactly is high blood pressure, what is hypertension. Both words are closely related, because every person that has hypertension will have high blood pressure. But it's not necessary that every person whose blood pressure is high has hypertension. So what is high blood pressure? High blood pressure simply means that the person's blood pressure is high. Literally, that's what it means. Then the person that has hypertension, that's a story that doctors have to confirm by themselves. Blood pressure is usually recorded. When you're talking about measurement of blood pressure, you have two readings on it. You may see them telling you the normal blood pressure is 120/80. What is that 120? What is the 80? When you're looking at the blood pressure, it's measured in millimeter mercury, and it's usually you can use a manual meter or a digital machine. Most of them or all of them apply pressure to the arm. Now, you have the systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure. The systolic pressure is the one that is up, is usually higher than the one that is down. The systolic pressure is the pressure taken at the point where the heart pumps the blood. So the pressure of the heartbeat, when the heart beats, that is the systolic. Then the diastolic is a time when the in between. So when the heart beats, you take pressure there, that is the systolic. And when the heart relaxes, in between two pressures, you have the diastolic. So the systolic is the upper peak, the diastolic is the lower peak. So if for a normal blood pressure for an adult individual, you will have it to be 120/80. Readings that are below 120/80 doesn't mean that the person has low blood pressure. 110/70 is still okay. Let's not just go to that place, but we're talking about high one today. Any blood pressure that is above 120/80 is high blood pressure. It doesn't mean that it's hypertension. Now, when this blood reading remains like this, above 130/90, repeatedly for a long time, doctors will begin to flag the person for hypertension, but they need to run other tests to find out causes and series of other things. You can have isolated readings. Why I'm not recommending self-diagnosis when it comes to hypertension. Although you are going to have your own kit to be able to check it, but it's self-diagnosis to confirm, because there are isolated readings where somebody's blood pressure may spike as a result of maybe the person is stressed, the person is scared, the person has encountered something and the blood pressure goes up. It doesn't mean that, oh, this person now has hypertension. You can also have pre-hypertension. Pre-hypertension is like a warning sign where the blood pressure goes up just a little bit, but is not high enough to be classified as hypertension. You can also have white coat hypertension. This one sounds funny sometimes, but white coat hypertension has to do with people that they are afraid of having high blood pressure. So you notice that when they go back home, they are relaxed. When they come to the hospital to test for high blood pressure, their blood pressure is high. It doesn't mean that they have hypertension. It's just like panic attack. We've seen the diagnosis. It's the doctors that will determine. But for the types of hypertension, it's important to understand that there is two broad categories of hypertension: the primary one, or essential hypertension, and the secondary hypertension. What is primary hypertension? Primary hypertension has to do with the causes that lead to it: age, genetics, and lifestyle. Age, genetics, and lifestyle. These are the things that predispose the person to have primary hypertension. By age, most people that are over the age of 40 should be checking their blood pressure routinely, because as the body is aging, the blood pressure might increase. So the person should be checking it to be able to monitor and be sure that the blood pressure is normal. Age, we've talked about age. The first one is genetics. Genetics, you can't really do much about your genetics. You can't do much about your genes. So it is what it is. So there are people that the high blood pressure runs in their lineage, it runs in their bloodstream. They only have to manage the blood pressure to make sure that it does not spike or it does not cause other organ failure. Now, for lifestyle, this is where I will want to pay attention to, because this is the one you can control. You can't stop yourself from aging, you can't change your genetics, but you can control your lifestyle. Lifestyle has to do with your diet, physical inactivity, tobacco usage, stress, and obesity. We are going to look at these 5 areas, but being a food technologist, my interest is always on the diet, but it's also good for us to mention some of these so we can have a broader understanding of it. Secondary hypertension. Secondary hypertension is the high blood pressure that is caused by underlying health conditions. You can see people that are having kidney disease. As a result of the kidney disease, their blood pressure is high. Or people that have other congenital heart conditions, or people that are on certain medications, then you notice that their high blood pressure is high. Most of these people, if those underlying conditions are handled or treated, the blood pressure regularizes. Or people that are on medication, for instance, if the medication is withdrawn or changed to something that their body accepts better, the blood pressure regularizes. So there are other types of high blood pressure that we'll also look at. There's the isolated systolic hypertension, where the systolic reading is always high, but the diastolic is normal. The person needs medical attention. This person needs medical attention. It happens to elderly people more often. You can also have the resistant hypertension, where they have changed drugs perhaps up to 3 times and the body is not regularizing. The blood pressure is not coming down. We can also have the malignant hypertension, where the blood pressure rises, spikes, and continues to rise such that it starts leading to internal organ damage. Now, while I'm mentioning these things, is for you to understand that even though we are talking about diet today, you will not trust only diet when it comes to blood pressure, because life is at risk. You need to understand that diet alone, medication alone, single activities may not be able to be sufficient enough to manage it. So you still need the support of the medical doctors if you are diagnosed of hypertension. But if you are not diagnosed, or if you do not have hypertension, but you are at risk, by being at risk, there's your lineage, people in your bloodline, they have been having cases of hypertension, or you're above the age of 40, then you should be aware of the things I'm discussing today, and you should also be on prevention, because prevention, really, we all know, is always better than cure.